Look at how can you fill a gap better than the existing opportunities that are available for customers to solve a problem. Like, think about your model. How can you create things that are unique, that are core differentiators? And furthermore, how can you fill that gap in the market with those? And we're back with another episode of Franchise My Business, the podcast for franchisors, hosted by franchisors. I'm your host, Kevin Oldham, and I'm going to talk about finding and filling the gap. What do I mean by the gap? The gap, in my opinion, and actually, there's a lot of ways that there's a gap in the world. The specific way that I want to talk about a gap in today's episode is, where's the gap in your market? Meaning, if you are building a business, where is the lack of service and or availability of a service or product in a market that you could construct something that would fill that gap and potentially create a category of one or a category of very few competitors? And so what I found, and what I think is really cool about some of the guests that we get to interview, is the fact that some of them are filling gaps that, frankly, were something that they really needed in their market and it did not exist. And so they were able to come in and create a business model and create a business that really didn't compete with others. It just was its own business. Like it basically, they came in and they said, hey, we're going to create a new category. We are going to create a category of one. And so specifically, I'm thinking about a guest I recorded an episode earlier today. The business is Tierra Encantada, and they are a Spanish immersion franchise of childcare centers. And what I thought was really cool about this was, not only are they like teaching kiddos Spanish, and that's in its own, it's really cool, right? That's a really positive thing. If you've been a listener for very long, that I care about like food that I put into my body and care about what my kids eat, my family eats. And one of the things that they do is they have this ridiculously awesome culinary program that is also allowing kids to explore new foods. And I think that in itself is really cool, because the new foods that they're helping them explore are like all natural and clean and organic and everything. So what you've got now is you've got this really cool childcare facility where you're teaching the second most popular language in the United States, next to English, Spanish. And then you're getting kids to eat healthy. And so by the time they go to like elementary school, they know another language, they've got good eating habits, like they're probably way further ahead than their colleagues, their other students, because they've gone to this differentiated offering, okay? And so think about that. Think about your model. How can you create things that are unique, that are core differentiators? And furthermore, how can you fill that gap in the market with those? Because if you're able to, first of all, provide excess capacity, let's use the example of childcare. Like, here in my community, we do not have a surplus of childcare facilities. So you can build one and it will just fill up. And you could build another one and chances are it'll fill up. There's really long waiting lists. There's not enough facilities for these kiddos. So that in itself, if you opened one, would be amazing. And you didn't have the Spanish English aspect or Spanish aspect, and you didn't have the culinary aspect. But then you layer on those two and it's, holy smokes, now I'm going to attract a different type of customer. First of all, I'm going to attract the type of customer who just needs a place for their kid. And maybe they didn't want to teach them these things, but it's like this added bonus. Awesome. Cool. Great. Furthermore, if you wanted to give your kid a leg up and exercise their brain and you were interested in a foreign language immersion, cool. You've got that. And then third of all, it's, hey, I've got this other thing. And next thing, you really don't have this daycare that competes with others. You have this different business that happens to take care of kids, teach them some of the basics, but also giving them some other life skills that I think are super, super valuable. And so as you're building your business, or if you already have it, look at how can you fill a gap better than the existing opportunities that are available for customers to solve a problem. And that's really what we do in business. We solve a problem. There's this talk about, I think it was Clayton Christensen, I can't remember, but it's this famous talk. It's been over a decade that he did it, but it was talking about research around a milkshake. And they were trying to figure out like why people liked milkshakes in the morning. And it's obviously not for the nutritional content. It was just some fast food joint. It doesn't really matter. But really what was happening was back when people used to commute to work all the time, people were hiring this milkshake to not only provide them with some calories and whatnot, but also to occupy them as they were commuting to work. And it was like, wow, there's this mind-blowing revelation that the gap that's being filled is that people are bored when they're driving to work and they want something to do and they wanted some calories, and this was a way to do it. So you just never know. Where's the gap? How can you fill it? And when you do fill it, how can you communicate that point of differentiation to the market? Because when you do that, you're going to attract high-quality franchisees, you're going to attract high-quality customers. Chances are you're going to be able to increase your pricing model, charge a premium for it when you're filling a gap, because by definition, the gap doesn't have anybody filling it. So if you're the person or the company that gets to fill it, you're going to be able to charge a little bit higher premium in order to serve the right amount of people, because there'll be people that want to jump into that gap and say, hey, I'm your customer. And chances are you're not going to be able to facilitate all of the demand. And because of that, in basic economics, you get to increase your prices. So there you go. Hopefully I got your mind thinking about filling gaps, building value, serving your customers where they are, and competitive differentiation, building a business that can last. I would assure you that if you're filling a gap, i.e. a need in the market, you are going to build something that is built to last. Until next time, I'm your host, Kevin Oldham. 2 asks, subscribe, review. Until next week, I hope that you have a phenomenal week and be well.